We first start today's session with the introduction and presentation by MAPE Malaysia Sdn Bhd, our sponsors for today's event. Mr. Yong Wai Kit, Specification Manager, will be giving a presentation titled MAPE's Contribution to the Iconic Malaysian Architecture. Dipersilakan.
Okay, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. My name is Yong. It's an honor to actually present to you MAPE's contributions on the iconic architectures in Malaysia. Right, so before I start, I would like to actually play an introduction video. I think just now when you are actually seated, you have already seen some. I would like to play it again for one more time. Yeah, please.
To construct, you need a dream, a project, talented people, an idea, and quality materials. Since 1937, MAPE has been bringing innovation to the world of construction, taking on board the needs of professionals and users, and giving them answers. Most people call them products. We call them solutions. Whether for large-scale infrastructures, skyscrapers, or homes, our commitment is always the same. For MAPE, innovation and evolution are a credo. Research and development is at the heart of our company, a strategy that has led to MAPE branching out from Italy to become a global reality present on sites all around the world. To overcome the challenges of sustainable building together, MAPE develops highly durable systems that respect the environment to reduce CO2 emissions along their entire life cycle. Teamwork that extends to the communities around us, promoting the local territory, sport, and culture. We are on the side of those who strive to construct today, while thinking about future generations, and of those who wish to preserve the constructions of yesterday, and even much earlier than yesterday. MAPE is out there in the field on every site, working with designers, installers, architects, construction workers, and companies. MAPE is always a partner you can rely on, whatever challenge you are facing. MAPE, building a present designed to have a future.
Right, so basically that's actually the introduction to MAPE, and the first ever projects that we have actually done actually is back in 90s. This is actually in KLCC and the Surya KLCC shopping mall as well, basically. So the MAPE's involvement was actually on the adhesive for marble, and also at the retail floor, and also the lift lobby, and the external cladding wall, and including the waterproofing for the toilets as well. Right. So those are the pictures that with our late, founders of the Jojo Swinzy, right? And this is actually on the retail floor of 20,000 meter squares using our Cara floor with the Isolastics. This is actually a two-component tiles adhesive. And the joints of the tiles are actually using our Ultra Color. And the movement joints was actually sealed with our sealants from MAPE Flex PU21. Right, on the external wall cladding of Surya KLCC, which is actually with 10,000 meter squares, the tiles adhesive was using our Cara Bond and Isolastics. So it was still good, yeah, until today. Right, you can actually see that, the yellow color wall cladding. Of course, we have the toilets, but the toilets has been refurbished for many times, but it was first we're using our MAPE 6, which is actually our waterproofing, and the tiles adhesive with Cara Bond and also Isolastic, and the grouts was actually using Cara Color. These are the summaries of the products that were used and in the KLCC and Surya KLCC back then. Next, we have another skyscraper, which is actually the second tallest building in the world now, which is actually our Merdeka 118. So this is actually also in conjunction with our, Malaysia Day as well, right? So this is actually a building consists of, with the floor, the first floor to seventh floor was actually using the mall, the shopping mall. And then there's a Park Hyatt KL Hotel, right? So those are the things that in that building itself. Right, so Mape Solutions was the adhesive and also the ceramic walls at the lobby floor. So there were products actually using that is actually our single component style adhesive, Caraflex Maxi S10, deformable adhesive, and also the grouts is actually using our Ultra Color Plus. So this is actually the summaries of the products that were used actually in this project. And these are the completed pictures of the interior of the Merdeka 118 with Mape adhesive and also the grout at the lift lobby as mentioned. Right, so this is also that. This is in the restroom. Yeah, besides that, we were also having the soundproofing, which is actually the acoustic insulation products, we actually used in the Park Hyatt Luxury Hotel. Right, so this is actually these are the membranes that you can actually see that was actually installed on the entire floor. Right. So the products was used is actually called Mape Silent Roll. Yeah. And you can see that's actually come in the roll form, right, to actually bridge the cracks of the soundproofing. As you can see, the total areas of coverage was actually about 25,000 meters squares. Was actually using this Mape Silent Roll. And in order to avoid any formations of acoustic bridges, so Mape Silent B and R adhesive will actually apply along the perimeter walls, and also the Mape Silent tapes was actually to use to seal up the overlaps of each of the single element. Right, so those are the restroom. I think this is actually, if anybody said that before, I think that actually costs 1,000 ringgit per night, if I'm actually mistaken, right? So this is actually in total areas of 25,000 meters square. Was actually using our acoustics soundproofing system membrane. Yeah. Next, in East Malaysia, we have this the Dataran Ibu Pertiwi in the Sarawak in Kuching. Right. So this is actually a 99-meter tall flagpole. Right. It was actually it broke actually the Malaysia Books of Record for the tallest one in the country and also in the Southeast Asia. So Ibu Pertiwi is in the name is in the name of the motherland, right? So the several factors of combined to make this a critical application. This was a high-profile project, and the project was actually having some special attentions of the owner, the Sarawak State Government, and it is actually an external application. So it's the tolerance of failures is actually very least. So with the architects of landscape architects actually from Landscape Design Association in Sarawak. And they actually understood that we have the solutions for all this to actually ease of all these solutions from the external application. So the solutions from Mape was actually using on the, of course, the adhesive, the tiles adhesive, and with the color grouts as well. And in order to prevent the efflorescence control measures, right, we actually introduced our waterproofing on top of the screed before they lay the tiles adhesive directly over. So these are the products that were you actually use in these particular projects, right? As I summarize. Next, these are the pictures that we have actually taken, right? Yeah. Okay, as you can also see the across the bridge, right? There's actually a golden bridge, right? That's actually we're actually using our Mape solutions on the flooring as well, right? Just for your information. Next, we have this Masjid Negara, right? National Mosque. Of course, the first project's waterproofing was actually not using us, right? It was actually built in 1963 and completed in 1965. So, but on the Mosque Golden Jubilee anniversary back in 2015, so the major repairs and rehab works has been actually approved. Right, so the companies that involved was actually the JKR. So what actually the scopes of work that cover was actually the re-waterproofing including the sunken roofs and also the domes of the pyramids or to stop the water infiltrations. And of course, with the dome, you can see there are a lot of tiles, right? This is actually falling off. So that's the retiling involved there, yeah. And the evaluations from the proposals, right? It was actually done by the architects, Architect M. Azhari, was actually appointed by the Federal Territory Islamic Religious Council, right? So MAPE was shortlisted as one of the proposals, right? The final considerations, our products was used is Pertubuhan 1000, which is actually the instant set spray polyurea products, yeah, with epoxy to actually stick the epoxy adhesive to stick the tiles, right, which is actually surpassed the bond strength of more than 2 Newton per millimeter square, right. So the alternative proposal was actually using acrylic PU, right, was actually by another suppliers, but it was failed during the on-site testing, right. So why the MAPE proposal was actually selected? The numbers of factors. Number one would be we have a strong project references, right? And then we have a very good partner applicators in this case, and the familiarity and also the good knowledge of our project's needs. And of course, we were able to win the consultant confidence over the site testing, right? So the final decisions was actually using us. So these are the main steps that's actually involved, like I mentioned earlier. So there were domes and also the pyramids. So they were actually covered with 2 layers of tiles previously, right? So what we actually did was actually using the water jet to remove the top layer, and then the tile is here on the waterproofing, and then also we install the fixing system with the render and also the anchorage to the concrete. That was actually done by others, and then we only apply the primer, sprinkle with quartz, okay, to enhance on the mechanical bonding before we actually spray the 2 mm Pertubuhan 1000 on the prime surface. And then followed by the installations of the mosaic tiles, you can see, right, the blue color one, using our tile adhesive, epoxy grouts, right, epoxy tile adhesive, Cara epoxy, and the grouts was actually finally joins with our Cara color FF and with the fugolastic. So on the sunken roof itself, it was measure same thing. We actually did the surface preparation by water jetting the old one, repair the broken part, right, using our epoxy materials to repair it, and apply the primer, followed by the spray on of 2 mm. And lastly, we overcoat it with PU coatings for the UV protection coat. So those are the summaries of the entire areas, like about 15,000 meters squares of the entire Masjid Negara rehab on the roof. So these are the works that were involved, and it's actually, you can see from the photos, it was actually using spray application. Right, so this is actually the spraying of the applications, and you can see it's actually light gray color, yeah? And lastly, we actually use our tile adhesive to actually stick on to the dome itself. Yeah, these are the pictures of completion. I would like to show you the video of this. Definitely, it's not an easy job, yeah, to having spray on polyurea and sticking on with the tiles with with epoxy. That's actually need to be compatible materials. that videos, I thank you, and it's an honor to actually present to you our iconic involvement in these iconic projects. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are honoured to announce the arrival Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad into the hall. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed guests. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise to sing our national anthem, Negaraku. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and a very good morning to everyone. Yang amat berbahagia Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, yang berusaha Presiden Pertubuhan Akitek Malaysia, Adjunct Professor Arkitek Adrianta Aziz, yang berbahagia Tan Sri Dato'Sri Haji Mohamad, PAM Gold Medalists, PAM Past Presidents, PAM Council Members, Board Members of Lembaga Akitek Malaysia, esteemed guests, visionaries and players of the built environment field. What a gathering! On behalf of Pertubuhan Akitek Malaysia PAM, it is my absolute privilege to extend a magnificent welcome to all to today's forum and dialogue, Malaysian Architecture, Evolving National Identity and Future Direction. My name is A.T. Rosemary Mohamad Arifin, and I will be your navigator and conversational conductor for what promises to be a truly meaningful forum today. This meaningful forum and dialogue have been designed as a platform to reflect on how Malaysian architecture has evolved over time during the premierships of Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad and his pivotal role in shaping our national identity, and to explore future directions of our built environment. Now, who doesn't know KLCC, KL Tower, Penang Bridge, Putrajaya, Cyberjaya, North-South Expressway, and many other projects are among the projects successfully executed during his premierships. We are very grateful today to have our Bapa Permodanan, Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, together with our esteemed past and present leaders of Malaysian Institute of Architects, PAM. Our hope today is not just to have series of speeches, but a spark that will ignite insightful exchanges, challenges conventions, and inspire the blueprint of our future that drafts the DNA of our national identity. So to every single one of you who have carved time to be here this morning, we thank you. And now let us watch a video montage.
The buildings that you build today, that you see today, character of the city must be retained, at least in certain places. People love beauty, and you want to do something that is beautiful, to follow a certain perception of beauty. It reminds people of a certain period in the history of that city. The kind of architecture in the past. The Islamic world has got its own unique architectures that symbolizes the evolution of Malaysian architecture. It follows the availability of equipment, but there is also an attempt to retain the appearance unique to Malaysia.
Now, to officially begin today's program, it is my pleasure to invite the Chairman of PAM Education Committee, yang berbahagia, Dato' Akitek Interior Designer, Zulkhairi Mohamad Zain, to deliver his welcome speech. Dato', dipersilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang amat berbahagia Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, Yang Berusaha, Arkitek Adrianta Aziz, distinguished guests, members of Pertubuhan Akitek Malaysia, fellow architects, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum and very good morning to all. It is an honor and privilege for me as the moderator and representative of Pertubuhan Akitek Malaysia to welcome all of you to this highly anticipated forum and dialogue. Today, we gather to explore the theme Malaysian Architecture, Evolving National Identity and Future Directions. So in conjunction with our Merdeka celebration, 68 Merdeka celebration, and also our Malaysia Day, which is on the 16th of September, we are here today with this program. So we are truly blessed to have with us Tun Dr. Mahathir, a visionary leader and the father of modernization, whose policies and perspective have shaped much of the modern landscape we see today in Malaysia. Tun's presence here is a testament to the importance of architecture in nation building and the evolution of our national identity. This forum seeks to address some of the critical challenges and opportunities we face in Malaysian architecture, from preserving our cultural identity to navigating the future of architectural education. We are also fortunate to have with us industry leaders, Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Esa Mohamad, past President of PAM, and Yang Berusaha Arkitek Adrianta Aziz, President of PAM, who will also share their invaluable insights. As we embark on today's discussion, I encourage all of us to reflect deeply on how our built environment shapes our identity as Malaysian and how we as architects and professionals can contribute to its future. Without further ado, I would like to begin our forum today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dato' Akitek Interior Designer Zulkhairi, for the inspiring welcome speech. Ladies and gentlemen, now we move on to the first keynote session. It is my great honor to invite the President of Pertubuhan Akitek Malaysia, Yang Berusaha Adjunct Professor Arkitek Adrianta Aziz, to deliver his keynote address entitled Navigating the Current Architectural Education in Malaysia Towards the Future. Arkitek Adrianta, the floor is yours.
Terima kasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang amat berbahagia Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, former Prime Minister of Malaysia and our PAM honorary member. Tan Sri Dato'Sri Arkitek Haji Isa Mohamad, PAM past President, past UIA President and LAM Board member. Dato' Zulkhairi, Chairman of PAM Education and PAM Council member. Puan Rosemary, our MC today, as a PAM Education Committee, PAM past presidents, PAM members, PAM Education Committee members, LAM board members, LAM IRAS committee members, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, peace be upon you. Selamat pagi, good morning. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you this morning to share some reflections on navigating the current state of architectural education in Malaysia and charting its course toward the future. With us, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad as our PAM honorary member. Terima kasih, Tun. Can you give a big round of applause to our special guest today, our PAM honorary members. Tun Dr. Mahathir, under your leadership, Malaysia embarked on a journey of transformation, building not just infrastructure, but also nurturing an ambition that architecture must embody the aspirations of our nation. Today, as we reflect on the education of architects, we are reminded of your enduring belief that education is the true foundation of progress. Ladies and gentlemen, architectural education in Malaysia today stands at a crossroads. We are confronted with challenges that demands courage, adaptability, and vision. The rise of digitalization, building information modeling, BIM, artificial intelligence, AI, and sustainability imperatives are reshaping the way architects must be trained. And yet, while technology is advancing at an unprecedented pace, we must ask ourselves, are we equipping our students with the skills, values, and mindsets needed for the year 2040? This is reality. And this to say our universities offer a bright sparks of innovation, and yet BIM and digital skills are still unevenly taught. Many of our students face high cost of software, limited access to real projects, and a gap between academia and industry. Without bold steps, our graduates, our future architects, risk lagging behind regional counterparts, especially like in Singapore, Hong Kong, and beyond. But there is hope, and there is opportunity. We have the chance to reimagine architectural education as a seamless integration of knowledge, practice, and values. This means embedding digital and BIM competence a core skill from the early years of study, and bridging academia and industry through structured BIM, BIM-ready internships and live projects, and equipping faculty with continuous training so that remain ahead of the curve. And all above, cultivating an ethos of collaboration, creativity, and responsibility. Because, ladies and gentlemen, architecture is not just about buildings. It's about people, communities, and the stewardship of our environment. In the language of civilization, the narrative of our culture and the mirror of our aspirations, I'm standing here as a PAM president, past chairman of PAM Education for many years, immediate past chairman of ACAI, Architectural Committee of Acacia Education, the education arm of the Architects Regional Council Asia. Acacia, we just came back last night with Datuk Perkasi from Incheon, Korea. Would like to enhance that in Malaysia, our architectural identity is deeply rooted in history and tradition. Yet it must also embrace innovation, sustainability, and global relevance. As we look at the present, we see both opportunities and challenges. Our universities have produced talented graduates, many of whom are shaping the built environment locally and internationally. And yet the industry still evolving faster than our education system. And new technologies, sustainable design frameworks are transforming practice. So, ladies and gentlemen, education must therefore not only prepare for students for today's challenges, but anticipate tomorrow's demands. Our PAM honorary member, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, PAM strongly believes that the future of architectural education in Malaysia must rest on 3 pillars. Number 1, identity and culture, safeguarding the essence of Malaysia architecture rooted in our climate, our tradition, and our diversity, while allowing it to evolve a dialogue with the world. Secondly, innovation and technology, ensuring our students, our future architects, are future-ready, equipped with digital skills, critical thinking, and the ability to design for a rapidly changing environment. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, relevance and impact. Preparing architects not only as the designers of buildings, but as shapers of communities, cities, and sustainable futures. In this future, in this journey, collaboration is a key. Universities, professional bodies like PAM or even LAM, government agency and industry players must work hand in hand. And together, we must ensure that architectural education in Malaysia is not merely about producing graduates, but nurturing leaders, thinkers, and creators who will contribute meaningful to nation building. Dr. Mahathir, Malaysia has always looked to you for inspiration, is envisioning the future. And today, Dr. Mahathir, as we speak of architecture and education, we are reminded of your vision for a nation that is modern, rooted in its own identity. PAM remains committed to upholding this vision, your vision, through the architects. We educate, we inspire, and we empower. To Dr. Mahathir and distinguished guests, Malaysia has always punched above its weight when it dared to think big. Our architecture must do the same. If we align policy, academia, and industry, if we embrace innovation while holding firm to our cultural identity, then we can nurture architects who are not only competent in the tools of the future, but also guided by wisdom, ethics, and a sense of national pride. As we look toward 2040, let us not see architectural education merely as the training of professionals, but as the shaping of visionaries, builders of sustainable cities, protectors of heritage, and champions of human dignity. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, let us commit ourselves to navigating this journey with clarity and courage, with the guidance of leaders such as Yang Amat Berbahagia, our Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, our PAM honorary members to be here with us today, and with the collective will of our educators, our professionals, and our policy makers, I believe, inshallah, Malaysia can become a beacon of architectural education in Asia, future ready, yet deeply rooted in our values. Let us continue this conversation and together shape the future of architectural education in Malaysia, one that is proud of its heritage, responsive to the present, and resilient for the future. May Allah bless us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Adjunct Professor Arkitek Adrianta Aziz, President of PAM, for your insightful keynote and the sharing of your vision for the future of architectural education in Malaysia. Is very inspiring indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we now are honoured to welcome the past President of Pertubuhan Akitek Malaysia, past President Union of Architects and Board Member of Lembaga Akitek Malaysia LAM, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Dato'Sri Arkitek Haji Esa Mohamad, to deliver his keynote speech entitled Developing and Maintaining National Identities, Ideas and Inspiration. Tan Sri, dipersilakan.
This works, huh? Which one is it? This one? Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang amat bahagia Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, Yang Berusaha PAM Presiden Arkitek Adrianta Aziz, excuse me, sejuk semalam. The forum moderator, Dato'Ar Arkitek Zulkhairi, Zain, PAM past presidents, council members, fellow architects, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Praise to Allah Almighty, with His grace and bounty, we can gather here this morning to discuss this very important topic, Malaysian architecture, evolving national identity and future directions. I wish to extend the apologies from the President of the Board of Architects Malaysia, BLAM, Dato'Ar Arkitek Azman Hashim, for not being able to be present here with us this morning due to the sudden call to attend a ministerial function. So he wished us all a fruitful forum and discussion, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the board. Thank you, Pam, for organizing this event that is so important to foster awareness of architecture, our national identity and environment in our community. On behalf of the Board of Architects, LAM and PAM, we wish to thank you, Yang Bahagia Tun, for your presence and willingness to participate in today's discussion. We are honored by your presence. And I must say that I can testify of your keenness and interest in architecture, urbanism, environment, and the directions that we should take to be called a developed nation and attain a global recognition. We look forward to hearing your advice and wisdom. As you can witness, the response to today's event is overwhelming, and much to the disappointment of many others whom Pam could not accommodate. You know, immediately after taking office as the fourth Prime Minister in 1981, I remember that, you jolted the construction industry with the construction of the Dayabumi complex, which was completed in 1984. A blend of new building technology, climatic considerations, and Islamic design with the masrabiyah or lattice work on the facade. It was the first steel frame structure, high-rise of this magnitude in this country, if I can recall. You introduced look east policy at that time, and we had Japanese contractors to do it in the hope that the project and technology will be transferred to Malaysians. You continued with the innovative projects that sowed the seeds for modern local architectural typologies by our own homegrown architects. You also drove the country to embark on major transformation and industrialization and changed the mindset of the population. These include new infrastructure developments like the long wanted North-South Highway, LRT, monorail, Kuala Lumpur International Airport, the Petronas Twin Towers. What happened? Right? KLCC, which are architectural marvels, and of course, the new administrative capital, Putrajaya, designed, conceptualized, managed, and built by Malaysians. And you established the multimedia super corridor. You were very dedicated to all these projects and took personal interest. I remember that you went every week to inspect the KLIA. Your interest in design, construction, and timely delivery that promoted a fresh view of what architecture is all about, which included Langkawi as international island resort destination. I recall your advice to me at that time. None of the buildings in Datai should be taller than the trees to preserve the natural ambience. The building architecture now is synonymous with the island of Langkawi. Still, we are searching for an architectural identity that we can call it Malaysian in our buildings and built environment. This is the question that we are going to discuss today, which started decades ago with a discourse on Malaysian architectural identity in the 1950s. Our predecessors had attempted to define the architectural language that adapted the modernist typologies with our local context. Some even ask, is the search still relevant now? Shouldn't we leave it to the ingenuity of our architects with their creations and inventiveness, many of whom have won awards and international recognition? We are rich in cultural diversity, arts and crafts and traditions that are uniquely Malaysian. Admittedly, our surviving architectural heritage is manifested in the buildings by the British colonial masters, designed by their architects, with architectural features imported from the Mughal of India. Like these, or Victorian, like the shop houses, and Art Deco that can be seen in Kuala Lumpur and many other towns. These buildings are adapted to the local tropical climate conditions with the provisions of wide verandas and expansive roof eaves overhang with natural ventilation, particularly in residential buildings that became the language of local architecture. The Kakosa, Srinagara, and Srinagara are examples, and Dato' Haji was the architect responsible for its renovations and preservation. Post-Merdeka saw several iconic buildings that attempted to define the path of the Malaysian architectural identity. Eminent architects, Malaysian architects like the late Dato' Baharudin Abu Qasim, Dato' Hisham Al-Bakri, Dato' Kington Lu, were instrumental in defining the national architectural language in iconic buildings, such as the Parliament House, the Museum Negara, Masjid Negara, Subang International Airport, Bank Bumiputra, Menara PNB, and the National Library that adapted the new building technologies with the local context of climate, art, and culture. Moving forward, we must accept the new technologies and international language in architecture emphasize functionality and honors materiality. Modern buildings are devoid of ornaments and decorative features of their neoclassical predecessors, but translate local artifacts for the form as in Hijaz's works in Menara Maybank and Telecom, and few others. The local national identity needs to balance the demands of efficiencies in commerce, environment, bioclimatic, and sustainability features like those of Dr. Ken Young's works. More importantly, Malaysian architectural identity must be sensitive to the multi-ethnic society and culture that we possess. Hence, PAM initiated the formulation of the Malaysian architecture policy in 1999. And I recall it was presented to you, sir, in your office in 1999. The aim was to provide the broad architectural framework and goals for action to be taken by the public and private sector clients and by the approving authorities to ensure the protection of our architectural heritage, the natural environment, define procedures for the promotion of sustainable developments and buildings, drive the improvement of the standards of public and private sector architecture, the quality of construction and building maintenance, the quality of town planning and urban design in our cities, new towns, and new urban developments. And importantly, promote innovation in our building industry. PAM finally published and updated the Malaysian architecture policy in 2009, taking works that have won annual PAM awards as examples of local architecture. In 29 July 2009, the Cabinet decided that every new building that is built must have Malaysian identity. This is because most of the new buildings in the country, according to them, especially in Kuala Lumpur city, do not represent Malaysian characteristics. So as directed in early 2011, the Kementerian Perumahan Kerajaan Tempatan, KPDKD, together with JKR, our board, Lembaga, and PAM, and other relevant agencies embarked on the formulation of the general guidelines for building with Malaysian identity or bangunan bercirikan identiti Malaysia. Several workshops with local universities were held right through 2012 to establish the Garis Panduan Seni Bina Identiti Kebangsaan, GASIK, or Guidelines for National Architectural Identity. It took cognizance of the National Cultural Policy, which was officially launched in 2021 by Mohamed, which outlines the various aspects of identities in our country to achieve unity in diversity, irrespective of the differences in race, religion, and culture. In general, GASIK adopts these new tenets and not to be prescriptive that will curtail or restrict creativity and innovations. A National Architectural Identity Council was established as the initial step by LAM and UKM as the secretariat. It is tasked to promote identity reka bentuk seni bina negara, or IRAS, to realize the government's objectives. There is much more work to be done to get regulators, stakeholders, and owners to adopt. But local evolving architectural design and identity continues with green buildings, community involvement, and place-making objectives. The digital technology and advancements pose new challenges in the involvement of local identity and architectural characteristics, which have become regional or international to gain recognition. Once again, I wish to thank Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun for your presence here, and we pray for Allah's blessings and your well-being. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Akitek Haji Esa Mohamad, for your inspiring keynote speech and sharing your valuable thoughts on the national identity in architecture. We now move on to our main agenda, the dialogue session. I would like to welcome Yang Berbahagia Tun Dr. Mahathir, President Akitek Adrianta, Tan Sri Akitek Haji Esa, and Datuk Zul to the stage. Now, to commence the forum and dialogue, I invite our moderator, yang berbahagia, Dato' Akitek Interior Designer, Zulkhairi Mohamad Zain, to deliver the inaugural remarks and set the stage for the discussion. Dato', the floor is yours.
Thank you, Puan Eti. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just heard insightful Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, there's a bit of glitches just now. Okay, we have just heard insightful and powerful presentation on the future direction of Malaysian architecture. Now we enter the most anticipated parts of today's event. That is a dialogue. This is where we will go deeper into the topics at hand and engage in an open exchange of ideas with our esteemed panelists. So the purpose of this dialogue is not only to discuss the past and present, but also to shape the future of Malaysian architecture. We have Tun Dr. Mahathir, whose understanding of the role of architecture in nation building is unparalleled. Alongside him, we have Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Esa Mohamad and Yang Berusaha Arkitek Adrianta Aziz, who bring their expertise on architectural identity and education. So a bit of format on this dialogues. I will be asking a series of questions to Tun and our distinguished panelists. Following this, we will open the floor to the audience to ask your question and participate in this important conversation. So I encourage everyone to use this time to exchange ideas and gain insight from these esteemed individuals. And I'm hoping everyone in the audience enjoy the dialogue session. Okay, we move on to the dialogues here. We have listened to the thought-provoking keynote speeches by President of PAM, Arkitek Adrianta Aziz, on navigating the current architectural education in Malaysia toward the future, and by Tan Sri Esa Mohamad, past President of PAM, on developing and maintaining national identity, ideas in inspiration. And I will start the dialogue session by posing the first question to Tun Dr. Mahathir. The first question, Tun, you have seen Malaysia grow from independence through modernization. Many iconic projects rose under your leadership. So from your perspective, how has the architecture shaped Malaysia's journey of nationhood and unity? Silakan, Tun.
Thank you. I was fortunate in that I experienced a lot of things in Malaysia for a long time. From the time when we were under foreign rule until we became independent. And I noticed that the development of Malaysia really took place after independence. Before independence, the colonial authorities did not focus on developing Malaysia. But now we see a Malaysia that is totally different from what it was when we were under colonial rule. And I think this is an indication of the progress that we have made. I find that nowadays Kuala Lumpur looks almost like New York, with many high-rise buildings. And I notice that everyone tries to make his tower different from the others. That is a good thing to do. We should not have identical towers all over the country. So we can show that even towers can be different if you focus on the architectural features of the towers. But I find that Malaysia is very fortunate in that we don't have volcanoes. we don't have earthquake. So we can build high towers and feel very safe about it. But as you know, recently there was a quake in Johor. And in fact, in Malaysia also, in the past, there have been some mild earthquake, not Richter 8 or 9, but very low Richter number, but actually it was still an earthquake. I think although we feel safe, I think we should also pay attention to possibility of quakes, because with climate change, we are seeing things that never happened before, but are happening now. So I think we should note that while we want to have an architecture that is Malaysian, but we must also remember that the safety of the towers is very important, because if you don't look after safety, then some tragedies might happen, as the one tower in London which caught fire. That is another thing. If you build one tower and the fire occurs below, the people above the fire cannot escape. And I'm sorry to say, but many people died in the London Tower. So that also has got to be given some attention. No, it's not going to detract from being Malaysian, but we have to accept that there may be accidents. And I noticed one of the ways of one of the ways of ensuring a means of escape is to build two towers next to each other. So if one tower gets, you can cross over with a bridge. So that is, the other thing is that KL can be flooded. Before we build a garage underground. Now if you build garage underground, you may drown all the cars you park there. So now the garage has climbed up, and the first 6 to 10 floors are devoted to garage for cars. So you are responding to climate change, and I think it's very important that we do that, because we want the buildings not only to look beautiful, but also to be safe. See, and there are many other things that can happen to building, and attention must be focused on safety. Beyond that, of course, we need to have a Malaysian identity. When we were building the Twin Towers, we got a foreign architect, Caesar Pelli. He designed 2 towers, but they were square towers, just square blocks of square buildings next to each other. But we wanted some Malaysian features. So we decided that it should be more Islamic. The Islamic star is often, the Islamic star is an 8-pointed star. So we decided to make it 8-pointed star instead of just a square block. But Caesar Pelli then added another feature, joining the bucu, the corners, so that the building looks very exclusive. Actually, it has become a kind of icon. Foreigners coming to Malaysia go to see this Twin Tower, but we didn't design it as an icon, but it becomes an icon because obviously it is a unique design, not seen anywhere else in the world. There were twin towers in New York, and you know what happened to that. But they have rebuilt only with one tower, but we still maintain our twin towers, which is joined by a bridge at the level of 41 floors. Now, if a fire occurs above the bridge, how do you get to the bridge? I think you have to think about that. The bridge should actually be at the topmost level, so that if there is a fire below, you can always go up and cross over to the other tower. So I'm very glad to see Malaysian architects are very sensitive to all these features. And now we have building material that lends itself to any kind of shape. So now we are seeing buildings that are impossible to build, but they are being built because of the material use. And of course, our new 118 floor tower, somebody had twisted it. And I don't know how they managed to calculate and build floors with such a structure, but obviously they have done so, and now it is complete. The only thing I can say is that while we should appreciate the growth of Kuala Lumpur, we should also think about the buildings that we build should be occupied. We are overbuilt at the moment. I think so. And we are now having a problem with urban redevelopment, URA. We need urban redevelopment, but you must be sensitive to the people who will be affected. You shouldn't just get rid of them. You can, I think, design quite modern towers, but still the people who are living there would still be there. I'm quite sure you can do a good design, and the people who are living there will stay there. So you don't cause a lot of political problems because of your attempt to rebuild Kuala Lumpur. And Kuala Lumpur, by the way, has grown, and we now have a very big population. Greater Kuala Lumpur is 8 million people, so we are seeing further growth in the future because people in the rural areas are going to migrate. So I would like to say thank you very much for giving me a chance to air my views about the development of Kuala Lumpur. And I think we are going in the right direction, accepting that we have to emphasize the identity of Malaysia. In the eastern countries, the buildings have got roofs where the corners are turned up, and the roofs are very distinctive if compared to Western designs. So Malaysia might have to make use of the diverse culture of this country so that Malaysia would have a very distinct architecture that is recognized as being very Malaysian. Thank you.
Thank you, Tun. That reflection reminds us that buildings are not just structures, but symbols of identity. Now, I would like to ask Tan Sri Esa. You spoke earlier about national identity in architecture and the attempt to address it in greater detail back in the 50s by the like of the late Datuk Baharudin, Datuk Kinten Lu, and also Datuk Isham Al-Bakri. So can you elaborate further on how do we balance global influences with our own traditions? Silakan, Sri.
Thank you very much, Bagaton. Thank you for your comments earlier. It's very, very succinct. But responding to your question, I think when we post-Merdeka, we were still searching to identify what really represents Malaysia. And architects have been the instrument that developed in any country what you saw, what you've seen, whether it is in Egypt, in Europe. Civilization has been the responsibility of architects, planners, and what have you. And it reflects the advancement of that civilization of the day. So in Malaysia, after independence, we were still under the influence of the colonial masters, the British. And all the buildings that we have were actually built by the British that introduced building materials, which is bricks. We were only dealing with timber in the old days. So Malay architecture, for example, has always been responsive to the environment and to the climate. We build houses which is on stilts because not only just to protect itself from floods, but also to allow natural ventilation that cool the house. We have pitch roof that allows the house to be cool. And we have double layered roof to allow the house interior to be ventilated so that the hot air can move out. But when it comes to modern architecture, we have a lot of those names that I mentioned earlier, they were educated overseas. They learned about new technology, they learned about concrete, and what concrete can do in lieu of bricks or in lieu of brick or timber. So what Hashim and Dato'Ar did for the National Mosque is a new technology using folded plates for the roof instead of the usual dome for a mosque. So because the dome for the mosque is more or less Mughal or Islamic, and we wanted to have something different. And that was the start of a modern architectural language for Malaysia, or for Malaya at that time. And even if you look at the airport that was designed by Kingston, right, it was open, right, with the umbrella forms of the canopy that covers the concourse. It's open, it's naturally ventilated. Only later, with the requirement for indoor climate control, we glassed it up and put air condition. So later on, we found that in order to make the community understand what architecture is, for them to relate back to the built environment, Hashim started off by imposing buildings that we relate ourselves to local by having, for example, the Adjunct in Bank Bumiputra. And we have the roof form that he did for the UMNO building in Saputra. So these are the experiments that were done by our predecessors to establish what I call an initial attempt to Malaysian identity. But now we are overwhelmed by technology. And in actual fact, PAM, for example, initiated the response to climate change by starting the Green Building Index. So now green building is becoming more or less a mandatory requirement for all buildings, for us to ensure that we build sustainably and allow greenery to even come into the buildings, and it becomes a new language. And whether you like it or not, I must say it is not just Malaysia that's also adopting this. We have Singapore have done it, and other countries, India, all of Asia has done it, looking at biological and green building as a new element in modern architecture and modern buildings. And as a fact, we have become a benchmark for a lot of buildings from other countries. They're looking at us. So this is how I saw the involvement of technology and environment and community participation in terms of spaces that we build in our towns and cities to become a new language for architecture. That's my take too.
Thank you, Dato'Sri. Indeed, identity must remain as our foundation. But as Arkitek Adrianta highlighted, education is key to carrying this forward. Arkitek Adrianta, you mentioned in your speech just now about reimagining architecture education in Malaysia, integrating technology in the curriculum and collaboration between PAM, LAM, and the industry players. So how can we ensure our graduates are not only skilled in technology, but also grounded in culture and history? Sila.
Thank you, Dato'. Thank you for the questions. I believe the answer lies in balance. As you know that we, in technology, in architectural progress, especially for the latest generation, they're more towards to the, not only BIM, they're more about AI, all this digitalization, and then somehow or other people start to be skeptical, is it will killing our skills and our values? I always echo what our past president Dato' Haji always mentioned to us. Kalau sesat balik ke pangkal jalan. He always said that to us. In PAM, we found out that there is a way how to move on, and so far always come back to basic. Just to share with you, Tun, and all others, Datuk Pikasi and myself, we just came back from the Acacia conference in Incheon, Korea. We just arrived last night. And we also witnessed our students, Malaysian architecture students, participated Jamboree. And then, just to share with you, I would like to echo what Tan Sri Isa has mentioned, that the diversity of Malaysian architecture, Datuk. Also reflection from our hosted URA last November. Around the world came to Kuala Lumpur, KLCC, venue in KLCC, our Union International Architects Gathering. Everybody was so impressed about our Malaysian architecture. A lot of, I met many presidents of their institute came to me and they asked me, Adrianta, how you guys can, staying together with a different background, different history, culture. We have Malay, Chinese, Indian, Kadazan, Iban, and many more. And yet, still looking at Malaysian architecture, we still have identity. So together with me in this hall, the IRAS committee from Lembaga Arkitek Malaysia, as I have to chair this committee. Sooner or later, we're going to have a guideline, Tun, that we call GASIC, a guideline for Malaysian architecture identity, where we believe that among us as an architect, we design not only about the form and function, but we have a soul of the design. We are so proud to become Malaysian architecture. I don't want to compare to other countries. My reflection came from Incheon Acacia Gathering. People, the world know we have identity, but we need to identify who we are. We need to know where we come from. Where is the best solution, a best functionality that to portray the values of our soul as Malaysian architects, to portray our identity. So to the students, especially for the future architects, we echoed what I said during my keynote speech, that we need to be collaborate. I can see the industry player like my pay today came to here. Maybe among our industry player, especially policymaker, Tuan Mahathir, the universities need to open up. I believe my education committee is here now. I can see Mr. Mulo, A.T. Rosemary, and many more here. They are educators, and then yet came to us as a education committee under PAM, just to reflect that this year we also celebrated our Malaysian Architecture Student Workshop held in University Kebangsaan Malaysia. And we can see so proudly the student now realize architecture is not only about buildings, it's about to portraying our values, our identity among Malay students, Chinese students, Indian students, and some of them from Sabah, Sarawak. We are gathered together, and then they have a certain modules they need to portray, not about designing a building, but they came with the values of identify where they came from. We also have a sketch competition to dress, what we call it, fashions and many more, and putting architecture elements into that. So I can tell you that start from now is a reflection, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, like what Dato' Haji mentioned. If you go further, kalau rasa sesat, Dato' Haji balik ke pangkal jalan. This is our basic. That's my echo.
Okay, thank you, Arkitek Adrianta. So, the keyword today is kalau sesat balik ke pangkal jalan. Alright. Make sure jangan sesat. Alright, Arkitek Adrianta, your explanation just now raises an important point about next generation. So, I would like to go to Tun again. May I ask, how important is it for young architects to know our traditions and values even as they embrace modern technology? Tun, you have any comment on that?
Young architects do not have the opportunity to make comparison. The older ones knew what Kuala Lumpur looked like before we became independent or in the early years of independence, and they see that Kuala Lumpur has changed, has grown. But the young architects are born when Kuala Lumpur has already developed. And the assumption that they have is that Kuala Lumpur has always been like this. But it was not. It has developed to this level. And in the future, it will develop some more. But what is the direction of the development? That is for the young to look into the past and see the present before they can think about the future. Because the past is a guide to us. There is always a trend which begins a long time ago, and you see the trend developing. It has reached the present stage, and it will continue into the future. You know, provided, of course, we have no major problems, we will see growth of the architecture, growth in terms not only of the heights of building, but also the design of the building. I would like once again to stress the importance of climate change. Climate change is unusual. Things that never happen can happen. So we have to anticipate that, and we have to prepare ourselves for that. You cannot imagine floods in the desert, but with climate change you are seeing floods in the desert. We are seeing floods which reach up to the roof, above the roof. These things never happened before. And of course, as I mentioned just now, earthquakes can happen. So we have to take that into consideration, that the future is not like the present. Things can get worse, and you should design for the worst. I noticed the Japanese. Before the war, the Japanese built their buildings with wood and paper because of the possibility of the quakes and things falling on your head. If it is a piece of wood, it's not so bad, but if it's a piece of brick falling on your head, it's going to hurt you. But today, the Japanese are building 60 stories high building in a country that is subject to severe earthquakes. obviously they have taken that into consideration. In fact, they are very far advanced in terms of how to build a building, a tall building, in a country that is exposed to earthquakes. And I think we can learn something from them, because although we feel safe, we don't know what the future can bring. So it is important for us to study the climate change in other countries, because today it happens in other countries, but in the future it may happen to our country. Of course, there are other features that we have to focus on to make sure that while we build higher and higher buildings, that we retain some features, because some features of our traditional building. You know, in those days we build houses on stilts. It was a very clever move, because if there is a flood, then the water doesn't reach the floor. And you can, you can keep your car underneath the house also. And you can drive out easily. You don't dig in and put the car underground. So the whole architecture need to be examined again. Why did they build buildings like that, on stilts with special roofs and mainly made of wood, etc.? There is a reason for that, and I am quite sure, as architects, if you study the practices of the past, you can learn something to prepare you for the future.
Thank you, Tun. So speaking about the young architects, just for information, Tun is my senior at high school, by 4 decades. All right, we move on. We move on. Thank you, Tun. So you are one of the rare leaders who envisioned Malaysia's modernization in the 80s, and you saw it built in the 90s and also in 2000s. And you are still here today in 2025 to witness its growth. So how do you reflect on that journey? Very rare.
Well, when I went into politics, I thought I would survive to the age of 75. So I thought that 75 was very old. I need to retire at that time. And that was what I did. But somehow or other, I survived. I don't know how. But lots of people ask me, how is it that you managed to survive? So I've written a small article, which I hope to publish in a new book perhaps, on what I did to remain functional. But I think all of us have that capacity. If we don't suffer from things like cancer and like that, you should be able to live a long time. But of course, you have to look after yourself. Some people eat too much, grow fat, and I mean, just imagine, if your body is twice your size, your heart has a tough time sending all the blood all around your body. And when the heart has to do that, first it builds, it grows to be stronger to deliver, and then of course you have high blood pressure and all kinds of things. So please enjoy your food, but stop when the food tastes too nice. I don't know, I tell everybody this, but people say, no, stop when you feel you are no longer hungry. No, that's not what I said. What I said, my mother told me that when the food tastes nice, stop eating. Very difficult, huh? But I mean, we can survive quite a long time, and of course I have to do some little exercise. The body is such that it needs to be exercised all the time, both mind and muscle. The mind, if you don't use, it shrinks, it loses its capacity to remember, its capacity to think, to do all kinds of calculations, etc. If you don't use your mind, you lose your capacity. So use it. This is a gift that you get. Make use of it, and make use of your body. And I think you will survive for a long time. I can ride horses, but my trainer said it's not safe for me. I've been riding even at the age of 99. I was riding, but since I reached 100, I haven't ridden. But I must admit that I choose tame horses. You know, horses has got a mind of its own. Bicycle is better. Bicycle has got no mind. Bicycle follows you. If you want to go forward, it goes forward. If you want to stop, it stops. But a horse sometimes doesn't understand the rider's wishes, and they suddenly rear up like that. I have fallen 3 times, but fortunately not too bad. But you ride horses, you must expect to fall. And if you expect to fall, you carry yourself on the horse in a way that if the horse rears up like that, you won't fall. You are still gripping. If there is a pommel, you grip the pommel, or otherwise you grip the saddle and the stirrup. And so you can actually avoid falling, but despite all my care, I fell 3 times. Fortunately, not too bad.
All right, thank you, Tun, for the heartfelt reflection. Tan Sri, so bringing it down to a practical step, what must we do as a profession, whether in policy, design or education, to ensure Malaysian identity remains visible in our cities?
We have a challenge at the moment because a lot of young architects really do not believe it is relevant. Right? I think people like us and what Adrianta just mentioned, the government thinks it is very, very important for us to maintain, and I think so far we have done quite well. But the challenge that we have at the moment is technology. You mentioned AI. A lot of young architects are using AI now to get ideas. And these ideas are actually international. It's nothing to do with local conditions or what have you. So at the end of the day, you have to use your own ingenuity and creativity to understand your local community and environment to embark on a design. So this is something that is very important in education. That's my take as far as the future is concerned. Doesn't matter whether it is international or not, we could still be the beacon of innovation, using how we use technology and building materials and doing all research. And I think quite a number of companies are actually innovative at the moment, doing new building materials domestically. And we are actually also importing our technologies overseas. And our precast system are being used, not so much here, it's being used overseas. In Singapore, for example, they are getting all the precast components from us. Right? So all the HDB flats, precast panels are coming from Malaysia. So, but unfortunately, we have not embarked so much onto that. You know, government has made it mandatory to have 70% of your building to be IBS, but private jobs are finding it difficult to do it. You know, so I think this is a challenge. And again, you know, what Tun mentioned about climate change, it is very important for us to take this into account. You know, things are not the same anymore. When we build buildings that does not conform to sustainability goals, I think we'll have problems in the future. I think this is going to be the direction that we have to take from now on.
Okay, Dato'Sri, that is crucial in the at the professional level, and hopefully the ERAS you mentioned just now can be the guideline without being too prescriptive. Okay, Arkitek Adrianta, from the education side, how should our schools balance between theory, practice, and global exposure while still nurturing Malaysian identity? Can you just touch on that?
Okay, I make it precise because I wanted to allow the floor to ask questions. My answer very simple. I jot down here. Just be proud of who you are as a Malaysian architects. Just be what we are now. Even though we are master technology, embrace innovation and explore the world, but never forget our roots, our community, our responsibility to shape spaces that to uplift people. So again, it's about building identity, dignity, and hope for the generation to come. I think let's go to basic. Be proud of yourself. Again, what Hajida has mentioned, even I have a dialogue with Pikasi, just be proud as a Malaysian architects. Thank you.
Thank you, Architect Adrianta. Okay, to all panelists, before we open the floor to the audience, I would like to end this panel with one closing thought from each of you. If you could give one piece of advice to the younger generation of architects shaping Malaysia's future, what would it be? Can we start with Dato'Sri?
Don't let technology overwhelm you. You must make sure that your creativity, your sensory perception about what design is all about is within you for you to embark for the future. And don't be influenced so much and so dependent on technology that is actually conquering our lives at the moment.
Okay, don't let technology overwhelm you. All right, that's a good advice, Dato'Sri. Can we go to Architect Adrianta?
All right, I always posted my quotes in my IG and my Facebook. I think this is the best relevant for today. Architects of Malaysia, rising together, building excellent. Thank you.
Rising together and building excellent. Okay, that's very good quotes. And last but not least, Tun, your advice.
Keep up with the development in architectural technology. Don't let yourself fall behind.
Okay. Keep up with the architectural technology. All right, so now we come to the next stage of our dialogues. Thank you, Tun, Dato'Sri and Architect Adrianta for those invaluable reflection. We now have roughly about 30 minutes for questions from the audience. So I kindly ask that each question be brief so that as many voices as possible can be heard. And please state your name and proceed with your question. And however, I would invite Datuk Hajida to give the first question so that kita tak sesat jalan. Okay, silakan.
Pass the mic to Datuk. I think we don't use that.
Clock. Hey, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First thing first, I have to register my deepest appreciation to Tun Mahathir, whom I have personally known for the last 43 years. And I think at this onset, I've got to declare that it was the very strong support that he gave PAM in the 80s. And that drove us to where we are today. And I think that's the best tribute we could afford him. And the fact that he is already 100 plus. Someone presented a drink called 100 plus. And I'm 2 decades behind him. So, okay, we are very fortunate in the sense that, you know, we've covered all this. Yes, kalau sesat balik ke pangkat jalan, basically is that you have to know yourself. I tell that to my friends and to students especially, that you have to know yourself. You are not who you are until you know who you are. So all that covers the understanding and appreciation of our heritage. And this is why we need to know the past to understand the present and then plot our journey to the future, which Tun rightly echoed. And I think that's the best philosophy of life that anyone could have, including architects, and especially architects. Because the difference between architects like us and a doctor is very great. A doctor, when he makes a mistake of prescription or otherwise, the project will be buried. Whereas for an architect, the building will outlast his lifetime. So either the building is appreciated or detested for the rest of his life and the rest of the building. And it comes a tremendous burden upon the environment, which Tun has also covered, because with this world climatic change, it has shaped and turned a lot of things. What was a minor fault in the Malaysian peninsula is now trying to express itself in Johor and in Mersing.
Dato',
Yeah.
your question,
So,
please.
Now you know why I'm not always invited to speak.
Question.
My question is this. I have no question, actually. Since you invited me, I'll speak.
Thank you so much, Dato' Ajida.
No, my question is, are we ready for the future? And this is what there is that I think all three speakers have already forewarned us, that we have to be very aware of the current situation in order to face the future challenges. And I can see the questions and I can see some of the answers. And so this is why I thought, I think that's the reason why I thought Zul was asking me to stand up and share this common view.
Yeah.
And this common view didn't just happen today.
Okay.
And it was well predicted and projected by the man sitting in front of us here. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dato'. I can't remember your question just now. I don't, what was the question? It's okay. Are we ready for the future? Sorry, Dato'. I'm overwhelmed, sorry. All right, Arkitek Adrianta, you want to reply to that? No?
Open to the floor. I need members.
Okay.
Here to ask question. Please. This is our opportunity.
Yeah, answer that question first. That, are we ready? Are we ready?
Yes, we are ready. And always, I just share with you, we are ready, but set our mind that always inspired by the past and built for the future.
Thank you for the precise answer. Okay, we open to the floor.
Please.
Yeah, be precise and be brief.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Akitek Rushdina. I'm glad to see my very, icon for coming to here today. Okay, it's just a simple question. It's not a question actually. I think I'm representing the millennium generation here. We're witnessing the transition between the old and the new one, between the cassette to the MP3 or something, brought by Dr. Mahathir, the technologies. My question is one, Tun. Through your leadership, you have always emphasized the nation building through infrastructure and education and community development. And today, with the ESG becoming a global benchmark, how do you envision architecture playing a role in creating more community-centric in Malaysia? Not only identity, but what is your opinion in terms of community-centric architecture? Thank you. Design with community.
Design with communities. Design with communities.
Design with community. Yeah. We must always be aware of what the ground people are thinking or what they want. And we should cater to that. When a government doesn't cater to the needs of the people, then it becomes very unpopular. Yeah, people have got problems. We have to understand their problems. We can't just say, well, this is a slum, let's erase it and don't care what happens to the people who live in the slums. You have to think about that. And there are solutions. And I believe even if you have to redevelop a part of the city, you can actually consult or talk or discuss with the people there as to what they want. And I think we can design buildings, modern buildings, that blends with all the other buildings, and yet it's not a slum. So you have to be sensitive. If you are sensitive, it's okay. When you are not sensitive, you just see modernization, renewal, and this is how you do it. This is how New York does or what Japan does. But you don't care about what is the thinking of the people, then you are not actually serving the interests of the people as an architect.
Thank you, Tun.
Black tadi. Siapa Black? Tadi nampak.
Okay, next question.
Next.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Apa khabar Tun? Saya Mohamad dari Pertubuhan Pemerkasaan Identiti Malaysia. Baik, saya ada dua soalan. Saya nak tanya kepada Arkitek Adrianta lah. Okey, saya difahamkan bahawa dasar IRAS ni akan dilancarkan penghujung tahun lepas. Tapi malangnya sekarang dah 2025 masih tidak dilancarkan. Jadi saya nak tanya apakah halangan dasar ini tidak boleh dilancarkan dan apa cabaran-cabaran yang sedang berlaku lah. Jadi okey, itu soalan nombor satu. Soalan nombor dua ialah okey, kalau ditakdirkan Tuhan, Tuan Arkitek Adrianta jadi Datuk Bandar Kuala Lumpur. Kalau ditakdirkan lah, insyaAllah. Bila kita bercakap tentang preserving heritage, saya nak fokus pada kampung baru kita lah. Adakah Tuan sebagai Datuk Bandar akan merobohkan segala rumah-rumah tradisional itu ataupun akan membina bangunan baru yang di samping itu dengan dibina dengan blend of architecture heritage lah. Itu soalan saya. Sekian, terima kasih.
Okey, terima kasih saudara. Saya jawab soalan nombor satu. Kita sekarang dah almost there, sampai ke kabinet tak lama lagi. IRAS dengan gasik dah sampai ke tangan Presiden Lembaga Akitek Datuk Azman, dan seterusnya akan tak lama lagi kita akan di-announce dalam kabinet, ya, insyaAllah. Secondly, mustahil saya akan jadi Datuk Bandar. But I'm not capable to become politician. I'm always as an architect for people. Andai kata kampung baru tu, saya rasa lebih kita remain identiti kita sebab jiwa kita di situ. There's no such thing to change or what. But I don't want to go further. You can't be sensitive. My answer very simple. Architecture is always for helping society. That's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Arkitek Adrianta. So we go to the next question. Arkitek Noshah, ya. Wakil daripada Lembaga Arkitek Board. Ya.
Lembaga Akitek.
Another Tunes junior by 50 years, I think.
I'm also Tun Junior lah,
Yeah,
but different by 5 decades lah.
Yeah, 5 decades.
I give you an example. We wanted to build the North-South Highway. When I became Prime Minister, I asked the people, why have we not built the North-South Highway? The answer was very simple. We don't have the money. Because in those days, all highways were built by the government and they are freeways. You don't charge any toll. So, in order to build the highway, we need the money. We need to have a return. So the answer is, let's make tollways. People will have to pay to use the... Of course, this is something new that we are not familiar with. But as you know, when we propose that it should be toll, you should pay a fee to use the highway, then suddenly the highway becomes viable. That is not all. For example, if you build a highway, the cost is very high, and the toll rate may be very high. If the toll rate is high, then people may not use it. If people don't use it, then it will be a loss. So we have to reduce the cost of building. How do we reduce the cost of building? The government lent money at low interest. The government acquires some of the land. The government transferred routes that have already been built to the company. And people accuse the government of helping a crony. It's not helping a crony. It's to make the highway viable, because when you reduce the toll rates, more people will use it. And that is what happened. Because the toll rate is low, people don't understand this in Malaysia. We are already very low. A bridge in Japan, the same length as the Penang Bridge, one-way crossing, you have to pay 250 ringgit. Whereas here, you pay 7 ringgit, you go to and fro. You see, so it's very cheap already. But of course, in Malaysia, we must complain. So what happened? We supported. And when we supported, the highway became viable, they made a profit, and government collects 26% of the profit. So the government gets back a return on the highway. Now if we don't build the highway, imagine Raya without the highway, then you'll understand why we have to think how to overcome problems in order to achieve our objective. That is very important. I'm afraid that the present Wakil Rakyat, they are popular, but I think they lack experience in administration.
One more.
Thank you, Tun. Can we get the audience from the first floor there?
Is there any question from the top floor?
Yeah.
Kalau tak ada, okay, we pass to the shop. Okay.
Ada black.
Black.
Okay, next will be on that side. Oh, black ni. Okay.
Open your mouth.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum. I would like to say thank you for giving me opportunity for asking a question. This question is specifically for Tun Mahathir. My name is Khairul. I'm lecturer from MIA, Malaysian Institute of Art. My question is about the KLCC. And like what you said just now, I also saw the original proposal by Cesar Pelli. It was like 2 towers, squarish towers. Yeah, and I remember that there's no bridge and there's a dome in between the towers. And then when we look at the present design, we know that it has been going through a lot of design development. So my question is, because earlier you mentioned that you asked Cesar Pelli to add some changes to the design. I'm wondering how deep was your involvement in the design development of KLCC, because I remember it's totally different design back then. And was it like a collective decision between you and the architect, or really it was your preference? Because we all understand that architects also have their own ego, and they would also fight with their, to their teeth, and to defend their design. So I'm wondering what was the experience back then with Cesar Pelli? Thank you.
All right. So Tun, was that your decision? Sole decision?
Well, as you know, we had an international competition, and the architect who won it was Cesar Pelli. Now, Cesar Pelli has been building high-rise building in the west, not in the east. So his idea of a building is a square tower, very functional. Square tower, you don't waste any space. Round towers, you waste a lot of space. So he designed a square tower. So my involvement there is, number one, I agree with 2 towers, very big involvement, you know. Number 2, I said, it doesn't look like a Malaysian building. Can we put in something that is Malaysian, at least Islamic? So we decided that, as I said just now, a star with 8 angles, 8 points is an Islamic design. I saw this in Arab countries, in Morocco and the like. So I thought we would include that. That is as far as my involvement is concerned. Very big involvement. But I did not lay the bricks. That is done by somebody else.
Okay. Thank you, Tun. So that little words from Tun carry that building into what it is now. Okay, the next one.
Thank you. Architect Bear Kowai. So a few questions to Tun. Actually, it's one, because actually just now we're sharing. How do you personally define the beauty and identity in Malaysia architecture? Like PAM, more than 100 years. Like this year is 102. And the other one for 3 panel. Given the global climate crisis, how can Malaysian architect and planner balance rapid development and environmental sustainability? Yeah, these 2.
Can you repeat the first question?
Okay, first question. How do you, this one for Tun Dr. Mahathir, how do you personally define the beauty and identity in Malaysia, in the Malaysia architecture? Yeah.
Well, if you look back into the past, our buildings were not very high. Normally, houses are built on stilts. And as I said, that was very useful, because if there is floods and all that, the furniture will not be spoiled. But we cannot build a kampung house. It is very high, obviously. But we can still take some features from the kampung house and redesign the whole thing so that it reflects something of the original architecture of Malaysia. And incidentally, Malaysia likes to the Arab architecture. When we build mosques, we like to have a dome. So for this building, this twin tower, we want to put some Islamic Malay feature into it. And I think the Islamic part is very obvious, the 8-pointed star. But the Malay part is a bit difficult. But we notice that buildings, when they grow up, they become smaller at the top. So it's not just a straight tower up like that, but a tower that decreases in size until it reaches the top. And I think that at least reflects the kind of buildings we build in Malaysia. The roof is covers, prevents the rain from getting into the house. So that is the minimal Malay feature we put into the building. But I must admit that it's very difficult to transfer a kampung house that is 80 stories high.
Okay, thank you. We will take one question from Cik Hafiz, another one, and the last one from the MC. Okay. Oh yeah, one question each, please.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Akitek Hafiz.
Thank you, Dato'. We are actually honored here today. We are here a bunch of architects dealing with brick and mortars, and proudly there's an architect of the nation up there. And I just want to, before I ask the question, just to reflect, 40 years ago, exactly 1981, Tan Sri Isa showed the slide of their Bumi. I want to just share a little experience which I personally, I was an intern when Daya Bumi was being built, and I remember there was a presentation that you visited. Architects had to make a presentation to you, and originally, the design of Daya Bumi, if you all had noticed, just to share an experience, if you look at the GPO building, it is a very modern building. And at that time, the architects were preparing options in designs for the tower, also modern. And I remember that you made a very simple remark on the design. And you mentioned, please pay some respect to the Masjid Negara across the road. Thus, the facade of Daya Bumi is transformed with geometric towers to have an identity, perhaps a more Islamic identity. That's very visionary, I would say. Having said that as a little intro, topic today is evolving national identity. Can I just say we have got twin towers, the tallest towers, which are no longer the tallest towers. We have got TRX Exchange, and we've got the PNB18. In your opinion, Tun, have we evolved identity in the right direction? And what is your opinion of the three towers? Which one is the one that would say is Malaysian identity? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Akitek Hafiz. That's a tough question. We should have organized another seminar tomorrow, maybe. Okay, Tun, briefly.
Well, I would say the Twin Towers reflect
okay.
Malaysia more.
Twin Towers.
You know, people coming to Malaysia from the Philippines and all that, they immediately go to the Twin Towers. They didn't go to the 108 tower. They go there for shopping, yes, but for them, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Twin Towers. So it has become a Malaysian identity. And,
okay, thank you.
Your first question was, apa?
The only question actually.
Yeah.
Was it question?
Okay.
I was just reflecting on how you engineered the architecture of Daya Bumi, in a sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am trained as a doctor. I can give Panadol, but I cannot design a building. So lots of people don't know it, but I get a lot of credit for other people's work. Because when I don't know something, I ask people. I read books, I ask people, I discuss, and I get ideas from them. So when we want to achieve Vision 2020, for example, I sat down with a lot of people and asked them, what should we do? And I took their ideas, and they are called mine, and I get the credit, they don't get the credit.
Okay, that's good. That's a good one. All right, the lady down there. Do you be the second last, and the last one we'll go back
Hello,
to the MC.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Amira, and I represent the young architects, the young generation of architects. My question would be, like, back in the day, I can see like how the Malaysian architecture had a very strong identity, and from my observation today, the development, especially in Kuala Lumpur, we are sort of lacking in terms of that identity. And my question is to get advice from Architect Tan Sri Esa and also from the panel. What is your advice in terms of how to navigate these challenges, sort of like from your client's requirements or authority requirements and things like that? Like, what would your advice be to the young generation to overcome these challenges, to gain back our identity? Thank you.
Okay.
There is, as I said, there is a real challenge. That's why I think the government has established IRAS, and also PAM is also promoting the idea of how to navigate the directions of design. At least we have a framework. We don't want to be prescriptive by saying that you must have a Minangkabau roof, right? Or you must have something what Tun just mentioned. You cannot put a Malay house on the top of a building, right? But I remember, Tun, last time when you first became Prime Minister, you made a comment. You said that, why is that the tall buildings that we have in KL those days are so dirty at the top? You know, there's a lot of messy things that you put at the top. Everything you put at the top, and because you cannot see it from the ground, but you can see it from the air. So hence, everybody started putting roofs on the top of tall buildings. And dangerously, that became a language for architecture. Quite a number of high-rise towers, apartments like that, those days have got roofs on the top. And so that is not actually the direction that we're going to take. But at the moment, I think the direction we have to take is to understand how the environment, the climate is affecting you. And I reflect what Tu just mentioned, the importance of the people that you are designing for, right? The community. You cannot design anything in isolation, right? You have to go to the ground to understand what people need. And the needs are changing at the moment, right? So at the moment, the urban renewal, for example, I happen to declare I'm also a member of the board of Kampung Baru Development. And the dilemma that we face there, how to maintain the uniqueness of Kampung Baru against the advent of a lot of massive developments around it. So there's mixed feelings about what to do with Kampung Baru, simply because people are saying that why do Kampung Baru remain so dilapidated as it is now, compared to across Saloma Bridge, you find the value of the properties and the development is so high. So I think that is a challenge for urban planners and architects to see how we can actually develop a real unique identity for Malaysian architecture and Malaysian planning and what have you, and still maintain the value that we have in terms of our soul and also its commercial viability. I think it is misnomer to think that because it is a Malay reserve, you cannot get the value. To me, that is actually a misnomer, and it is a financial misnomer to me. You know, we are so dependent on the financial system that we forget that there are other alternatives to make sure that we can still maintain and gain financially by preserving our identity.
Thank you, Sansri, for the precise answer. And one last question from down there. State your name.
Okay, Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera warga Dewan sekalian. Saya ada satu soalan.
Your name please.
Okay, Tun Mahathir, saya Suhair Rahman. Soalan saya simple, klise je lah. What is your personal message to the future architects? I am the representative of the Gen Z and the youngsters in this hall and even in the whole country. So, apa personal message Tun Mahathir kepada future architects? Thank you.
Thank you.
I said just now that for young architects, it's important for them to know the past, to study the present, and then only to think about the future. The future will be influenced by the past and the present, but also by new technologies that will be coming in the future. So keep up learning until you retire. I don't retire, but I'm still learning. So I think, don't think that you already have all the knowledge. There are lots of new things coming in the future, and you must keep up with the new knowledge.
Thank you, Tun, for the insight. Okay, last question from the MC.
Okay, as an MC, I get a little bit of privilege. Thank you, Dato'. I'd like to present a question to Tun Mahathir. My question, amongst all the buildings and development that was built during your premierships, which one is the favorite of Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah?
Okay. Another way of asking question, eh?
Soalan kebat.
Okay, okay. All right, Tun. Which one is the favorite of Tun Siti?
My house.
Okay, with that, we have come to an end for the dialogue session. Okay, today, so we have heard the very powerful insight from our panelists on education, identity, and the future of Malaysian architecture. What emerges clearly is that architecture is not only about buildings, it is about who we are as a nation and how we wish to be seen by the world. So on behalf of PAM, I thank Tun Dr. Mahathir, Tan Sri Esa, and Arkitek Adrianta Aziz for their wisdom. And I hope we all leave here inspired to carry forward our responsibility in shaping Malaysia's architectural identity with pride and purpose. Thank you so much for being here today. And we move on to the next event, to the MC.
Thank you, Dato' Arkitek, Interior Designer Zulkhairi Mohamad Zain, for the conclusion and meaningful closing reflecting the discussion in the forum. Ladies and gentlemen, as a gesture of our deepest appreciation to our honorable guest, Yang Amat Berhormat, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, PAM would like to present you a special token. This token is a painting of Masjid Jamek, one of Kuala Lumpur's most iconic heritage landmarks. The artwork symbolizes the essence of Malaysian architecture, a timeless blend of history, culture, and identity that value Tuns have always championed in the journey of nation building. Now we like to invite PEM President Adjunct Professor Arkitek Adrianta Aziz to present the token of appreciation to Tun Dr. Mahathir. Okay, gentlemen, let's take a photo together. There's another presentation of token of appreciation from Arkitek Mohamad Hafiz Muhammad Hashim to our honourable guest Tun M. Dipersilakan. I believe it's a book. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to more photo sessions, we have a special celebration. Now let me deliver one pantun, just like any other Malaysian event. We cannot go without pantuns, right? So, pagi cerah sinar mentari, burung berkicau merdu di laman. Selamat hari lahir Tun yang dihormati, moga dipayungi rahmat dan keberkatan. Today we are honoured to celebrate the 100th birthday of 100 glorious years of Tun M. We kindly like to invite everyone to join to sing a happy birthday song to Tun M, followed by a cake cutting. So ladies and gentlemen, by the count of 3, let's 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Everybody. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Okay. All right. So I'd like to invite everyone back to their seat. Alhamdulillah, with that we come to the end of the forum and dialogue session, Malaysian Architecture Evolving National Identity and Future Directions. Thank you for investing your curiosity. Let's ensure that when we leave this room, we do not just have more knowledge, but a sharper vision, a shared vision, and for the legacy we build for the next generation to come. On behalf of PEM, my deepest thanks to Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, our distinguished panelists, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Arkitek Haji Mohamad, Yang Berusaha Adjunct Professor Arkitek Adrianta Aziz, our moderator, Dato' Arkitek Interior Designer Zulkhairi Muhammad Zain, partners, sponsor, and all guests present today. We have lunch served at level 1 and a top level, the roof level for everybody. I'm AT Rosemary Muhammad Arifin. Thank you so much for your attention and participation today. We wish everyone a safe journey home and continued success. Before we close, I'd like to throw another pantun. Padi melambai di bendang raya, angin sepoi menyapa taman. Forum selesai, jaringan terjaga. Moga berjumpa di acara hadapan. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera.